I'm waiting on this video. Whoa! Look at that. That new Google Spider's got you.
Cool.
Was that your Halloween getup?
No, I didn't do Halloween.
Yeah, I don't do that either. Are you Jehovah's Witness too?
Yeah. I was working.
Cool, but they won't let you dress up like a clown or something?
I had my sailor hat on for a bit, but
that's too festive. If you know what I mean. Cool. You start wearing military uniforms when you're not in the actual military. Are you in the military?
I'm not, no.
When I squint, you look like Ben Affleck, a young Ben Affleck right now. Not a really young...
I used to get Jared from Subway. I'm sure the people in the chat room will like that. And then,
you know what? But Ben Affleck, that little dickhead, he was on public television. If you're in America, sometimes when your local public TV station is so crappy in the middle of the night, they have all these adventure things where it was like him and some two hippies or whatever going down in South America. He was like one of those little fucking robots his whole life too. You know, those people that never really had a fucking real life. They just like, they're made for Hollywood, little monsters.
Oh, he kind of had it rough from what I remember. Like
bullshit. He was like fucking 9 years old on fucking public television as a series in Boston.
Yeah, but I think he lived out of his car with his mom, from what I
because she
heard.
was probably fucking giving blowjobs to TV producers trying to get that little brat a job.
Yeah. That's no easy life.
She might have liked that. She might have found that enjoyable.
True. But it's gotta be
tough. She might have thought she was lucky. This is so weird. Right now I'm looking at me and you talking.
Yeah.
But then I glance down and I'm also looking at, this is great. Down here I'm looking at us broadcasting on Twitter. And I've been using those anonymous ops tags and shit, all that other stuff. So that means everybody who's watching them, every single law enforcement agency, you know,
who's watching this.
Yeah, that's so great though.
Yeah, thanks.
Because you got a cute little sailor cap on. They're like, he's not anonymous. He's kind of fey. But see, we know you're not fey. We know you're not fey because your lady's right there to back you up and say, well, no, I just like it that way.
No, she's a beard. We're not going to lie.
50-50. Well, hey, that whole thing worked out brilliant for Ariana Huffington, huh? Being a beard. Here she is. She's got one of the largest fake independent, you know.
There you go, babe. You're all set after this.
That makes me feel a lot better about it.
You guys knew that about Ariana Huffington, right?
I did not know that. I know she's Greek. No.
No, she was a state representative. She was the beard for the state representative, and she used to go on then because he was like an up and coming star of politics in California. She used to go and talk on all these like Late Night with Bill Maher and all these different programs, sit in on these panels and stuff. She was like a political wife. She was up and coming in politics, and California was a big deal then, and so she started going in on all these talk shows and stuff from this like intelligent conservative, you know, backing up sort of Bill Clinton and everybody. She was like really politically active, right? Turns out her husband was gay the whole time, and just one day he just came out and said, I'm divorcing you. Like did a whole press conference and said, I'm out of politics. I've been dishonest. The whole time she was shielding, like she didn't know. Like they had, they had high school age kids, and she's like, oh, you know what I mean? The whole time she was a fucking beard for this weird, creepy fucking politician.
But I'm sure there's plenty of people who go into stuff like that and like Hollywood or positions of power, like the Katie Holmeses who do that. Beard, you know?
Why? Why don't they just come out? Why doesn't Simon Cowell just fucking come out and say, look?
I don't know. Who's the other one? Tyler Perry. Perry's like
yeah, but you know, all these fucking closeted fucking image people, you know what they do to kids that have like gender confusion or whatever, or like issues with their sexuality and not being able to come out? It's because that reinforces it, don't you think? They don't have any role models of people just going, hey, I'm just a regular guy or girl and this is how I live my life.
Yeah, but if Scientology's involved or money's involved or Hollywood's involved, you know, there's...
But blackmail's only an issue if you think you've got something to hide. There's no power if you're like, I don't care what you fucking do, you goddamn creep. Fuck you and Xenu.
I work at a hotel.
But if you just go, fuck you and Xenu, I'll throw you both in a volcano.
But like John Travolta stayed at my. Oh, he went to this. Like he's famous for that. Like he'll come to the resorts out here in Scottsdale, and he's just not only is he gay and closeted, he's like gay to the max. Like he's notorious for going to the spas and stuff.
He's got it. You know what's really weird about him? There was this whole thing. He was staying like down in Cornwall in England, I guess, or Devon. I think he was in Devon, which is next door neighbors to Cornwall, Cornish people. The next territory over is Devon County, you know. And his people called up Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they said, we'd like to, this is a true story. They called up, his like PA called up Kentucky Fried Chicken and say, yes, Mr. Travolta's working here, and he would like to reserve a table for your establishment.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they're just like, what the fuck? It's fucking KFC, man. We don't reserve tables.
The best part's them backpedaling afterwards because you know, I worked in fast food too. You know, if someone did that, you'd be like, hey, go fuck yourself. You hang up the phone, and then somebody comes back and they're like, no, this really was John Travolta. Then you'd be like, oh, no, of course we'll have a table there with like a red carpet and candles.
But why the fuck would you do that? It doesn't even make any sense.
I don't know. It'd be one thing to say like, hey, we're going to run in there. I don't know. I guess the easiest thing would just be have somebody run in there and grab the food.
Just fucking walk in there.
You lose perspective. I mean, the guy's been in the limelight for 40 years, 30 years.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I've got to go fly for Qantas to keep my license for a jumbo jet. He totally loses perspective, man. The guy has a fucking AstroTurf hairdo. Like all those close-up shots with he's got the weird Hollywood, you know, where they just glue it on, like when you're bald. Do you know what I'm talking about? That net with the, what do they call that stuff? That, what's the old spirit gum or whatever? You know? He's got
for adhesive stuff, yeah.
So creepy, man. Him, Michael Jackson, all those guys. It's so creepy. Why are all these people such fucking creeps? What happened to them? You know what? You knew what you were getting into with Lee Marvin and all those guys. Like, that guy's a womanizing drunk. I love him. You know? It's just like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like an unspoken code, like with Hollywood at least. I'm sure you know, you lived in LA. There's just like an unspoken code. I guess there's a lot of pressure, you know. They have people who take care of that stuff. They have people who know, hey, Eddie Murphy is into tranny hookers, but if you talk about it, you'll never work in this business ever again.
Well, I heard that Simon Cowell spends a fortune on covering up for his boyfriend's indiscretions.
I don't see what the threat. I mean, he's in a.
His boyfriend like totaled this Bugatti car he had in a parking lot, and they were both there, and everybody knew it.
Kind of like a womanizer reputation, so maybe that's part of it. He just wants to uphold that. Like,
he's got a bullshit reputation, but I just don't understand why he won't just come out.
Yeah. Is this like a ploy? Are you trying to lure me into like an true Hollywood story gossip thing?
No.
And you're going to make fun of me afterwards?
See, I don't care about these people's business, but, you know, I was kind of a big fan. When I lived in San Francisco, ACT UP started, you know, a whole crew from ACT UP was really, for a long time, they were really interested in outing people. Because they're like, you guys are all fucking dickheads. Because people are getting beat up and fag bashing.
It does seem like it's from another mode of thinking and from another era when you meet people, and I'm not talking about myself here, baby, but about when you meet people who are obviously gay.
Well, people still beat up people for that. See, the whole thing is there's a lot of people in America, a lot of places in the world where it doesn't matter what the government says, that they just don't want guys picking up on them.
Yeah, I told you my dad's from Iran.
Sometimes girls too. You know, sometimes girls will react weird too. But they just don't want to be, like, advanced on by people. They can't really deal with, oh, I'm flattered, but that's not my orientation kind of thing. They're just like, holy fucking shit. And a lot of times those people, like, on the serious extreme, when they react like crazy, like fucking cut somebody's head off because they made a pass at them or something, then those people might be gay or molested themselves.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I've noticed, I've lived with a couple different gay guys, and when other people find out about it, their first thing, if they're homophobic, is always, aren't you afraid he's going to bother you or try to hit on you? And it's like, that's not, just because you're gay, you don't hit on every single guy.
That's true. And, you know, just like you don't hit on every single woman if you're heterosexual or whatever. But you know what's really weird? You know what's really weird? I always enjoy when you call because you're really intelligent, and our synopses are pretty sharp, you know, so we have a lot to say and we can interact really quick, and I'm always stimulated by that kind of conversation. Both you guys are sharp as tacks. I used to work for Project Open Hand in San Francisco when the AIDS thing was really getting, before AZT came around and stuff, you know, people were just dropping like fucking flies. That was the whole time period, you know, that I was up there. before they got a handle on it. It was after Ryan White and all that stuff, but
Late
it was just
80s.
the early days where it was automatic death sentence as far as anybody knew. You know what I mean? And so I started volunteering for this thing, Open Hand, which was I went to this warehouse, and then there was a full-time chef, and you would just go there and all of you together, like under his direction, you cook like 2,000 meals, and then you box them all up and then go out in these cars and deliver them to all these places for people. Like a really healthy but really high-quality meal. It's like free. Just don't worry about it, you know? And so I volunteered to go in the cars and pick up all the routes that everybody else was afraid, because I'm not afraid of going to, like, see down on 6 and Market Street right there. That used to be, it still is bad, but used to, in the Tenderloin there, it was so bad. It was like instant, the minute you get out of the car by those welfare hotels and shit, it's like 45 crackheads completely out of their head will try and attack you. They're just maneuvering just to fucking attack you.
Yeah.
And I used to just get out of that car with those fucking trays, you know, it was like a sealed box. And in these hotels, you wouldn't even want to go in them. You know, it was all the prostitutes and junkies and crackheads and people dying of AIDS and just, wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like way worse than Bukowski ever even dreamed of. It's like they didn't have crack in Bukowski times. See what I'm saying?
How come Stone Magazine doesn't write about this stuff when they write about you? You know
Doesn't
what I mean?
matter what they do. I don't read their fucking magazine, so why would I care if I'm not in it?
I know, but like when they talk about you, why don't they put there's no perspective, you know?
Because I don't need to tell everybody about this. I'm just rapping with you. But anyway, so, and I was never afraid. See, I would go to this place, and if somebody said something to me, I'd be like, I'm going to fucking murder you, and then I'm going to eat this person's food. Because I don't even give a fucking good goddamn. I don't care what color you are, you're going to be dead. That's what color you're going to be. Because I don't even fucking care. And I was like, really had it in my head that what I was doing was fucking righteous. And that, sure, I would just fucking beat people's heads and if they tried to fuck with me. Because everybody was afraid. Everybody wanted to help, you know, the volunteers, but nobody wanted to go do this shit to these neighborhoods, you know, that were so bad. So I would just do that every day for the hell of it. And so check this out. My aunt, you know, they started, the word born again comes from Chuck Smith down at Calvary Chapel in Orange County. They're the ones that started that whole movement. Calvary Chapel, you can look it up. So that's where born again Christian comes from. And that was based before they started. They had a big tent. They were in a tent in the late 60s or whatever, early 70s. And the way that they grew born again Christianism, Bible study in the houses. And they started all that shit at my grandparents' house. And my aunt was like in the original group. So they're like those born agains, right? So when I started doing that up in San Francisco, my aunt was talking to me one time, and she's like, oh my God. Yeah. It's the same kind of infuriation and insensitivity. All these people ask as a part of their religion is don't fucking mock our prophet. It's the same thing. It's just as infuriating if you pull all this other shit. See what I'm saying?
I know, but
I don't agree with those people on like any of it. But you can still respect people enough not to like throw fuel on that fire. See what I'm saying?
It's tough. I don't think anything is sacred. I mean, I grew up in a Jewish household, so of course there's a period of time when I was like really serious about because I was like the one Jewish kid in school, so kids would make Jew jokes and stuff like that.
I know, but lots of people agree with me, including Jews, that there's no, there's no reason none of us want this. Well, some of us do, but none of us want this kind of religious extremism or whatever, where they're doing this stuff, where they're just infuriating people. I mean, that people, once they start getting like so much power in Pakistan or the tribal leaders, that somebody blows them up with a fake bomb or even, all that shit. So whatever. We don't know who's doing what. If it's, I'm talking about too general to say pin it on the CIA or whatever.
I did want to ask you one thing though, real quick, to, like
Yeah.
the Oakland protests and whatnot. And
Sure.
I like that. Following your feed and following the Facebook stuff is a good way for me to get news because it's like two things in one. Because I'm interested in what you're interested in, and then also I am getting some stuff. And I agree with what you were saying earlier about how even just like the equivalent of saying you have a gun is provocation or it's a violent.
It's total
act.
violence. You go to prison for fucking telling a bank teller you have a gun, whether you have it or not.
So 99.9% of the protest population is nonviolent, and they want to work things out that way. But then what do city officials do when they want to protect? When there is that small chance, however small it is for it to ignite.
The police have to do what they got to do. But you know what? The police aren't going to wait around. The powers that be aren't going to wait around to see what happens in a mob. So, they infiltrated the Black Panthers. They infiltrated everybody. That's nothing new. So, I mean, they're all over the place with this Occupy Wall Street in every single town. And they have a lot of money to deal with that kind of stuff.
It's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. If they don't have the people there to kind of protect it on the chance it turns into a riot,
there's cops on blogs. There was cops on MySpace busting people, trying to say it's 420. Like trying to get people to sell drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're everywhere. Anyways, there's all these police forces. They do it for pedophiles. They do it for everything. But in these riots, they get them on film all the time. These cops all over at Union, at strikes. There's videos of police being surrounded, dressed up like fucking pretend anarchists, giant guys with crew cuts where they got videos of these.
It makes sense, yeah.
Well, they've got videos of these guys. There's a great one on the Oakland shit where they've got all these cops in their riot gear, and then they're dressed up in like heavy metal T-shirts and shit with, going through the Oscar Grant Plaza or whatever they call it there. I mean, the police got to do what they got to do, right?
Yeah.
The thing is like, I said, man, anybody who's not pissed off about the way things are is a fucking liar. They're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you. Because there's a lot of shit that just is not okay. The main thing is the blurring of the line where an entrepreneur all of a sudden isn't responsible for their own folly. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You have no stake in the fucking stock market. Fuck them. Where do these people get off internationally and fucking everything up and then putting everybody else on the hook? And you can't blame it all on people's pensions or being lazy or the welfare state or any of it, because that's all bullshit. The person with the purse strings has the power. They're the ones fucking spending money and doing all this crap. The people that are most hurt by most of these things, they don't have any money. So anyways.
Nothing new.
Well, it is new because they busted up a bunch of monopolies the last time they wrecked the whole market and everything. For some reason, these people said, no, this is a great new way to have a real great economy. You know what I mean? Is we'll just fucking we'll start having monopolies. This is a way for us to make money and make jobs. But it hasn't panned out for anybody. Wall Street doesn't fucking make jobs. Not any jobs that matter.
Yeah.
Fucking cleaning up Wall Street as a janitor, serving lattes, being a stripper. Most companies, I mean, the bottom line, there has to be some kind of like balance between. See, I own a corporation. But, I mean, there has to be some kind of balance. See, there's all these companies in Germany and shit. They happen to be, like, fucking super successful. They also pay their workers. How do they do that?
Yeah. They plan. They have. They don't live.
They make
for today.
really good shit. They make really good tools. They make really good dynamos and fucking machined parts and all kinds of shit. They're really good at it. But they do all kinds of stuff. They make all kinds of crap here. But I mean, there's no reason in the world, and that's why they're the second biggest exporting economy on the planet. They're almost tied with China. But
yeah, it's a stereotype though, the German engineering and the methodical like nature and stuff like that. And I see it. I have German friends, and it's funny how they're very. I have my buddy Frank. He designs or he fixes the microscopes that they use for scanning for brain tumors and stuff like that.
It's so funny that you brought up Scientology, because it looks like you just joined the Sea Org.
Yeah.
So
I'm setting sail. I'm prepared for when you shut the ship down and you set sail. But yeah, that Frank, it was funny. One night we were shooting a BB gun. He spent 20 minutes with this like Walmart BB gun fixing the scope on it so it was like precise. And I'm like, otherwise we'd have just been shooting like little kids. But he spent forever on it, and it was perfect.
He was born in Germany.
Yeah, he was born in I forget, it was like southeast Germany.
Wow.
So
Hungary or someplace.
Did you have any questions for Uncle Anton?
Yeah.
No?
So I heard they're doing some crazy fucking all systems drill in Phoenix area. Did you hear about that?
I thought that was a nationwide thing, but yeah, I guess.
They're doing some crazy maneuver about a dirty bomb.
Yeah.
And that's only here?
I thought it was nationwide, but yeah, it's supposed to be just like all systems except cell phones, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, that's new emergency broadcast. Yeah. Okay, but anyways, this is more like this other thing they're doing it in the Phoenix area of like a terrorist attack test.
Okay.
But you know what? Whenever they do it, I gotta tell you, whenever they do that shit, I'll give you 3 examples of where, man, even more, but I'll give you 3 right now. 911, they were doing a terrorist drill. The 7/7 thing in London, they were doing a terrorist drill. And in Norway, they were doing a fucking terrorist drill with every cop in the country and from other countries in Oslo. They called it off 23 minutes before that guy started doing his thing. All I have to say is, if they're doing a terrorist drill in Phoenix on that day, that's a great day to go to Flagstaff.
Nobody gives a shit about Phoenix.
Yeah, we're about due for a trip up to Flagstaff, so why not?
I really like that drive up there in the Pines.
I'm a wuss, man. It's scary. It wasn't even iced over, and it's just I'm in this tiny Honda Civic. I feel like I'm gonna fly off that thing.
I like it up there.
Yeah, I was listening to your stuff on the last drive up there, so it's funny you say that because I was listening to like a mix tape I made of your stuff.
We played some fun shows up there in that old hotel.
Yeah,
we used to know some girl up there that would have us play, like book the club.
Yeah, Flagstaff and Tucson, which are much smaller towns, get all the shows.
The
Congress.
Phoenix, the Congress Hotel in Tucson. Look at me plugging those guys.
Yeah,
I think behind the post office is their club or something. I have fun out there. I wonder if I'll ever make it out there again.
I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I go on tour next, I'll be sure to, because I haven't seen you yet. I want to, I'll make it wherever I have to make it to see it.
Yeah, I'm getting old. It may be the last time.
Yeah. So.
I just can't keep up with all these Jessie J's and God knows who.
Yeah.
These ladies, these various ladies. I can't even remember what song we just played. So I gotta talk, I guess. So what else is new? How's Sheriff Joe?
Don't hear much about him. That's one of those things, like, I hear more about him when I go out of the state and people ask about it than you hear about it in state. A lot of people, I think, are on board with his view, and so it's a very conservative state. I had no idea when I moved here, so.
The last thing I heard was that the mother and the daughter that were both having sex with an underage boy, and Sheriff Joe Arpaio was helping cover it up because they were related to a politician.
There's the Mormon thing?
Yeah, that Mormon.
There's like a Mormon, yeah.
Sheriff Joe.
Yeah, he's a winner.
Why doesn't he run for president? Clean the whole country. Put everybody in pink pajamas for...
Would you endorse him?
No, I can't get into national politics.
Yeah.
I really don't believe in it. Of course, I don't know if he's that great at debating, but
He's a bulldog.
he'd be strong on Law and Order, I guess.
Well, none of these guys in the Republican debates seem like they're very good at debating either, so it would probably be,
For whatever reason, that's the way they like it these days.
mediocre.
Yeah. I guess you probably can't. You can't show everybody what you're made of while you're campaigning. You gotta lie, and then you just gotta pull it out.
Yeah.
But I think I would respect the institution more if somebody just was a little bit more right on.
Well, that's the problem, yeah. Like, especially with the last campaign, you could see that with McCain. Like, they were doing that thing where they're trying to appease everybody.
See, but he can never be president.
Yeah.
He was tortured and signed a piece of paper that said, "I got tortured. I'm a criminal." See, they broke him. So that alone will keep him psychologically. They can't even bring that up. They just won't let him be president. See, because he was tortured and tortured and tortured.
Yeah.
And he signed that paper. So they can't let him. You know what I mean? They expect you to get broken. They don't hold it against you to sign the paper. You know what I mean? And they like that you try to do it, but they expect it because anybody would do that shit. Anybody. But they look at you funny probably. Like you know what I mean? If you were fucking 5 years in a Viet Cong jail, Jesus, they treated him really good because his dad was a senator and everything. But,
yeah.
But
they made a deal.
Not that
right?
good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Supposedly, him and his friends, they were like really badass, trying to help other people keep their shit together.
Yeah.
Because I guess some of the other guys, they were really pissed at those guys because they were just firebombing and napalming and fucking Agent Origin everybody to death. So when they would catch you, you'd get your ass kicked pretty good. And when you ejected out of those planes, it broke your shoulders and shit a lot of times.
The name of the game.
But those villagers first would kick your ass because
would not want to be in those shoes.
My uncle Jim got shot down 6 times as a Huey pilot. He wouldn't even talk about it. I knew a little bit, but fucking, he had to bury himself in leaves. Like fucking 500 guys chasing after you. In the jungle because they know they're following the helicopter as it goes down.
They're looking for you.
It's just crazy shit. I don't know if you ever read that book, Catch 22 or whatever. When you're a kid, when you're a little kid, they used to still have those crummy little novels and shit. It's fucking weird. But yeah, about just being shot down in Korea or any of those jungles or Vietnam like that. Just fucked.
Well, it's like fight or flight. I guess, you're operating on a different level at that point. You're just doing, I don't know. It's like one of those things like being in a car accident when it happens, you're not, I don't know. It happens. You do what you need to do.
Whatever you got to do, man.
Have you ever been scared for your life?
Shit, yeah. It's weird. That's when you start laughing the hardest.
Yeah. But you seem so consistent with your, when you're talking about delivering the food to AIDS patients in San Francisco, that
that's
fearlessness.
Scary, but
I know, but
I had police chasing me before, fucking 20 of them when I was a kid. And I was just jumping. I just hit those walls, man. I hit those jumping over people's back fences. That was hairier than shit. For blocks, they were chasing me. They had the helicopters and everything. Just to make it back to my house.
Yeah.
And they had caught my friends, and then, I ran into my room, and I pushed the bed out from the wall and slid down behind the wall, And I was in there for a minute, and I went, these guys are going to be in my room any fucking second. And I just bolted to the backyard, and I had a piece of plywood back there. I just jumped under that with spiders and whatever, up against the fence. And I just laid there, man. And sure enough, within 30 seconds, they were all in my house. Then they were looking around the sides and shit. They were just fuck.
kind of wish I had some of that in my childhood. I never had any of that.
It was just fun, you know? But of
I
course
got punched in the face by a fat chick once, and that was about it. And the cops came. Makes you tougher.
it's just kid stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think me and my friend stole, like, his car was about ready to blow up or whatever when we were teenagers. We just walked into, like, Chief Auto Parts and grabbed a quart of oil and just laughed at the guy and walked right out. He's like, hey! And we're just like, fuck you. Some other teenager, you know? On the night shift, we're just like, fuck you. So hopped in the car, and then we were just surrounded by cops. And I just fucking hit the fences. They were pissed, too. And so then they caught my friends, and my friends probably just said, oh, yeah. Yeah, after a couple of minutes, probably said, oh, yeah, he just lives right down the street over here.
Yeah, great.
Well, I mean, I figured it out, like, really quick that they were going to do that. But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just stupid kid stuff.
Yeah, but, like, you know, I lived in a crappy apartment with my mom, and like, we're just kind of like locked in like a dog, you know, just kind of like basic cable and pizza, you know, that was it. But it may have been worth it to get in a little bit of trouble or something like that. Kind of.
Well, yeah, you should learn right from wrong and all that stuff any way you got to do it.
Yeah.
It's just kid stuff.
Yeah. Well, your kid stuff's different than my kid stuff.
Yeah, we were troublemakers, but
yeah.
See, everybody I know ended up in prison, basically, in jail, or dead. So, I didn't want to be like them.
No, it's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll give you the best advice you'll ever have. You don't want to go to jail because there's nobody there you want to fuck.
You don't know that.
It's fantasy.
Yeah.
So, well, suit yourself, I guess, whatever you're into. L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, like there were stories about him, like in like boys on yachts and stuff like that. It's just such a
well, he's a Satanist. It stands to reason, right?
Yeah,
he's a full-on satanic bitch.
But I heard you. I forget which. I think you were talking to Jack a couple days ago, and then I heard you mention it in another chat. But you were talking about friends of yours that would go as a group into a cult, and then halfway through like the indoctrination, they'd stand up and start protesting.
Like a couple days in, they didn't start protesting. They're just like one person would stand up and say, "You know what? This is bullshit. I'm not going to let you brainwash me."
That sounds like a really good time. Like when you said that, that sounds like something I'd love to do.
And then they would, you know, they're out in this fucking farm place or whatever out in Marin, you know, and then they're like, "Wow, how dare you?" You're like, "What are you doing?" You know, like they gang up on the one person, then the next person stands up and starts in on them, and then they're outnumbered. It's like 15 people, and they're like, "Fuck." Because normally they would just work you over in a situation like that. But there's a whole book of like their weird stunts that they did.
I was curious about what that was, like, because I'd be interested in looking.
I'd have to look it up, but it's probably on research, the company research, like research publications. There's all those books, you know, like Mark Pauline, Survival Research Laboratories.
Research laboratories.
Well,
I'll Google that.
No, but you know, it's called research.
Yeah.
And if you just type in research survival, research survival research laboratories, SRL.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Mark Pauline. If you just type in his name, then you're going to find research publications. And they got books on everyone. They got Research Pranks is a great one. And there's all that kind of stuff in there. But those guys are all crazy weirdos. I got one of those weirdos staying at my place right now, but he's out having dinner. But they did crazy shit in the Bay Area. They used to. But yeah,
it happens everywhere. Like that kind of indoctrination.
Not like that. Well, I'm talking about just institutionalized troublemakers.
Yeah.
The West Coast has a lot of that shit. The East Coast has some.
Phoenix has none.
Well, this is like on a big level where there's like 40 of these characters, like me or them or something. There's like 40 people like that You know what I mean? That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's probably like one or two of them out in the sticks in the desert. Everybody's getting older. You know what I mean? But it's like people that just love trouble.
Yeah.
Doing
Stirring
weird,
shit up.
well, just doing weird shit. You know, they invented the Cacophony Society. They invented Burning Man Festival. But they did this thing that's fucking crazy. They were doing it for years in San Francisco. In San Francisco around New Year's, everybody puts their Christmas trees on the street at once, you know?
Yeah.
And San Francisco is fairly small. It's like 7 or 8 square miles. And so they would grab all these trees and they'd rent trucks and grab all these trees off the street in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
On a certain day, like they do it right then, they all go to the state beach right there on the, you know, state land where you can have a bonfire. But they bring like 1,000 trees. It's like 5-story high of trees. And then they wait for the fucking park rangers to go, no, you guys cannot do this here. And as he's talking, every time they light it, and Christmas trees just go up like that. So it's like, wham! It's like almost, it's just like almost an explosion of Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not even kidding. Like 4 or 5 stories tall of Christmas trees.
Yeah. And pine needles in the face when you're walking by.
No, but I mean, they just like build the biggest instant bonfire you've ever seen in your life. And every year,
get a lot of people on board at the same time. You can get a lot of shit done. Yeah.
But it's like just institutionalized troublemaking.
Yeah.
But they do that. The worst thing that I ever saw with the Christmas tree in San Francisco, I didn't appreciate it, but I appreciated the mess it made. Because I'm not interested in that, making messes. But I was like, holy shit. Is somebody stuffed 2 of those Christmas trees in a porta potty and lit that thing up, and the thing burnt right down to the cess tank, and it was melted, stuck to the pavement.
Oh, that sounds pleasant.
Nasty, but I was like, wow, somebody really fucking pulled a number on that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, these crazy people. But see, I hate, this isn't like jackass culture, which is like kind of like, those guys are just like, I hate those guys. This is something else. Like, they have a thing called the Billboard Liberation Front. A friend of mine had it. It's so great. For years, since like 79 or whatever, they just take over massive billboards. Even to the point of like doing the neon signs. They do neon and everything. I mean, they really fucking do it. Like,
there was
these people are the kings of it, though. They're crazy. It isn't just like changing a few letters, because they do that too.
Yeah.
You know, and changing people's faces. But they took like a camel board, like the Joe Camel, it was all with neon, and they just like redid it all, and the letters and everything, until it said, "Are you dead yet?" It was a skull smoking a cigarette. They like took all the neon tubes and just redid it.
Like Banksy stuff, yeah.
This is before Banksy, though. Banksy knows about all these guys. These guys like fucking just do it.
Yeah.
Like all over America, just taking over. And I
went
love
to the
that. And I don't care. I don't care if it's a crime or not. I love it when people mess up billboards. It's just great.
Yeah. I like that kind of stuff. Like, there's a group in Austin that would do like porn for Bibles trade-in day, like at school. Like, if you brought in a Bible, you could turn it in and get like pornography. I don't know, small stuff like that. It's just enough to like irritate the right people, I think. You know.
Well, you know,
a group of people getting theirs.
I just think it's such a fucking joke that they went and voted on a resolution, "In God We Trust," when they don't ever even specify what God it is that they're worshiping. If you look on the other side of that fucking dollar bill with the Masonic shit, it's not the same God you're thinking of.
Yeah.
See, it's such a trick question. The God the God of the forefathers.
Yeah.
It's not the same God that you're thinking of when you're sitting in a normal, maybe, in one of these churches. Not the same God at all. The God that's interested in that monolith that got a crack in it, the Washington Monument, the obelisk, not the same God. See? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like, it's like rearranging.
You go to fucking Washington, D.C., and the National Monument is sitting there, an obelisk. It is not the same God. It's not even the fucking God of, like, let my people go. It's the other guys. Think about it. Who built fucking obelisk? Pharaoh. I mean, that's how fucked your head is in the United States of America. You can't even fucking visualize that. You're like, wow, the national monument is to another god than the god that all the idiots are praying to. All the Christians are praying to. Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. And you never even get that. You're like, well, I'm too stupid. I'm American. I don't even understand what's going on. The Jews didn't build those monoliths. But then now the Israeli Knesset is Masonic. Absolutely a Masonic building.
Did not know that. Yeah.
You can just look at it. It's got Masonic mottos right over it. So it's just like a big... It's like a mystery wrapped in an enigma inside a Russian doll.
Yeah.
Something. But I mean, just think about it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, the God of Israel did not... Well, it depends how deeply you get into some of the teachings and stuff. But anyway, see what I'm saying? Moses wasn't known for building monoliths, obelisks.
Yeah.
He was like, let's get my people out of this business right now, supposedly, right? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just...
Okay, but then there's all this other research that says that, you know, the priest caste, there was a whole caste of the Egyptian, the real old deal Egyptians, and that the enigma of that whole thing is actually, it wasn't the slaves that split from Egypt. That's the secret. Supposedly it was a whole religious caste of people from Egypt that split. They weren't the slaves, they were the slave masters that bailed.
That would probably make more sense.
That's what some people say. But,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, right? You can look it all up on the interwebs.
Yeah, Google's awesome.
But I got a point with that obelisk, right? The national monument. That ain't the God of Israel that they're worshiping. Trust me. That's the greatest thing about it. It's fucking... There's a pyramid on the back of the $1 bill. That ain't the God of Israel. That's the other guy. Duh. You know? Like, how much more obvious can it be? It's like, in God we trust. Here's a pyramid. What's the pyramid?
I've always heard about that. I've heard, you know,
but listen to me. I mean, fucking just look at a dollar.
I know, but everyone points that out, but I've never heard, like, I should look into it.
Look at the actual, 5.
Like, when it's put
look at
on
the
there,
$5
like,
bill. Look at the 10. Look at the buildings. They're Roman architecture. It's Rome.
Yeah. It's not some kind of pastiche of, like, past civilizations or, like, other things
like that.
It's
It's not a burning bush. It's not Jesus on a cross. Think about it. It's all this other iconography of something can put the other guy. So great. But every fucking dickhead. So then you got the dickhead fucking Congress or whatever, the House, both of them, who knows, voting like, in God we trust, laughing at all the suckers. You mean to tell me that whole fucking body of people, hundreds of them, right? Too dumb to fucking even realize that. They're like, well, the Washington Monument. Yeah, in God we trust. It's a fucking Pharaoh's obelisk.
Yeah.
That ain't a fucking God of Israel. Fuck off. Look up Moloch. That's their god. That's the one they love.
Is it the Egyptian one?
No, it's the owl. Babylonian.
Like the
pre-Babylonian.
What's that?
They sacrifice children to it. But if you think I'm fucking crazy, then why the fuck did they build the biggest...
여기가 어디죠?
The reinvented 2012 Camry.
이 세상으로 헤아릴 수가 없어. 멈춰! 진짜 주는 바로 나와. 내가 준이야. 준이야. 저놈이 진짜 권이야. 캠리하면 증명할 수 있어.
The Camry and the drama continues at toyota.com/one and only.
I guess it would take, like, what would it take for you? Because, like, I did ask you this before, and you talked about how, like, you're civic minded. You're doing this as like a duty. Like, you're throwing this stuff out there, and if somebody like has a cursory glance of it and they see it, and then informs them or helps them in their journey or whatever, like then you're doing some civic duty.
You know, anybody's welcome to call me up and tell me that I'm full of shit and that I'm wrong, but I'm absolutely 100% right. I mean, it's just obvious. It's fucking obvious. I mean, you could look at it and tell me that it doesn't represent what it represents, and I'll go, well, that's interesting because they have it in London, too.
That's an Egyptian one, though, right? No,
It doesn't fucking matter. The cenotaph, they built it for World War One, or the Boer War, or whatever, when they started that thing. I mean, that's not from Egypt.
Yeah. I was thinking of the one in Paris that Napoleon
No, I mean,
stole.
they've got those, and the other one, the British stole from the French, because they carted that shit away. But I'm talking about the big ones that they make all the time.
Yeah.
They're still making those. Every master mason has one. Every single one. Walk through a cemetery. Except in a Catholic cemetery, they don't have them.
You should join a Masonic lodge.
I'm the boss, man. I don't have to join a fucking lodge.
Yeah.
So check that one out.
Okay.
My manager's a 32nd degree Mason, and I'm his boss. Figure that out. I don't have to join a lodge.
Don't you have to get invited in?
That's
Someone
true.
invite-
That's true. You have to be invited in, but that never stopped anybody from breaking that rule.
Yeah. Yeah, my uncle joined. It's so weird, like that he would join that, and then when he died,
You know what it
they
says?
were
You know what it says in all the books? It's so interesting. It says right in the Blue Lodge, it says first page, no Jews are allowed inside the temple.
Well, they ignored that.
Obviously, I can't tell you how many Jewish brethren I know. I know
He,
a million of
he
them.
had like he was buried in a Jewish cemetery with Masons, Freemasons, giving a eulogy. So
Well, there you go. I mean,
having your cake and eating it too, I guess.
who knows, man? It's not our business, I guess. It's whatever they want to do. Whatever they want to do. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm just bringing that other stuff up because it's absolutely true. Funny. So I always laugh at all this other old bullshit a little bit.
Yeah, I guess the follow up to my question was, what would it take? I mean, have you thought about this? Like, what would it take?
Am I offending? Do you think I'm offending people? I haven't even glanced at the chat room.
I haven't looked at the chat room. It distracts me.
Well, just like, what's your call? I mean, do you think I'm offending it? Am I offending you people out in the chat room or whatever?
I think someone likes being a Mason, so there's that.
That's just text. We already know that.
Anton is the boss. That's true.
I'm just laughing. Anyway, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't finished what I was going to say.
Okay,
Like,
go ahead.
what would it take? What would need to happen for this to stop, and for like you to like actually like call like a call to action, like to get out and be in like the protests or
Oh,
to
no. See, I would never encourage people to protest.
yeah.
That's some John Lennon style wankery bullshit maneuver. That's what gets you killed.
Yeah. So then
See,
how do
like,
you change?
all
How
I
do you-
just said is it's completely legitimate. But mob mentality is completely problematic. Because if there are no leaders, then that's a perfect opportunity to take control. See, they actually had people don't understand the communist revolution of 1917 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's not really what happened in Russia. See, the Bolshevik revolution, right? But then this communist people with an organization just came in and said, fuck you, anarchist. We're in control. In fact, we're going to assassinate, execute all of you idiots. They already had a whole different money before the Soviet thing. See?
Doesn't that happen with most revolutions, you think?
Of course
that
it
they get
does.
hijacked by people?
Well,
like
but a lot of times they're started. It just happened in Libya right before your eyes. They shot that fucking general. And all of his buddies right there. The guy that defected, they did that in the beginning. Of course they fucking walked right up to him, blew him away. See, because that wasn't a people's revolution. That's bullshit. Those CIA, those SIS, those fucking Qatari guys, man, just whacked that guy in 1 second. They're like, nah, this oil guy's the guy who's going to be the boss, the guy that they got. They don't leave nothing to chance. That wasn't a people's revolution for shit. They just padded the fucking numbers. They just got those other idiots to stand like 5 miles away from any action and shoot their guns in the air. Well, the real guys just took the other guys out anytime they popped up.
Yep. That's what they did in Afghanistan. You were just talking about that one guy. Or like the Kurds in Iraq.
Well, I forget what his name was, Mahmoud or something.
Yeah.
That guy who was really fighting. He was all mellow, man.
Yeah.
He was way cooler than the singer from fucking Rage Against the Machine. Had the same dress sense. They kind of look the same.
Yeah, same facial hair.
But, he fought like a motherfucker against Russia and everybody, and then they just said, nuh-uh. But anyway, because they have designs. Like, Russia wasn't there just because they were just like fucking decided to go on a vacation. Wanted to check out cheap Indian food or whatever. That's there because of oil and those pipelines, strategic.
Yeah. Because
all this shit was foreplanned, man, that's going down. It's no secret. You can look up documents, not just from John Birch Society or some fucking offshoot of that, but I mean, there's this stuff, besides the people that Alex Jones or anybody talks to that have been writing books for decades and have videos and stuff. You could just fucking go backwards and just read about every single thing that's been happening from way before this 70s. Tons of books on all this shit. Millions of books out there and articles and pamphlets about every fucking thing that's happening. Everybody still acts like, you know what I mean? Like this economic crash. Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I stressed out so much post 9/11 about all these things you're talking about. Like I lived in Austin, and Alex Jones is based in there, that stuff. And so like I spent so many years like the sky is falling, and granted things are fucked up, but like I don't know. I wish I hadn't been stressing that much because it's like A, I can't really do much about it, and B, I'm just like worrying myself to death. So.
Yep, that's the problem with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, tell us a little bit, YP, about your experience with that.
Yeah. Look, it's just me now.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dead TV. It's the Alan Show. Say hi to Baby. Baby, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Someone said you were pretty earlier.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. I usually like attention, so this is very weird for me to actually get it. Hey, everybody. Do I do any impressions?
See, I thought you were going to talk about Austin.
Oh, yeah. Bunch of hippies, but a lot of
political
a-holes,
activists.
too.
A lot of political activists there. Well, because it's all, live free or die and don't mess with Texas and that whole kind of thing. There's a little bit of the personality that comes up there. But, I check out what those guys say, what all these guys, not all of them. See, I don't read Jeffrey Rentz or any of these guys.
Yeah.
And David Icke has a major trip up his butt about messing with Israel nonstop.
Yeah.
So he tends to bug the shit out of me a little bit too.
The problem with those guys is that
there's a lot of problems with them, but let me tell you something that they solve though. See, every lunatic in the world can be found messing around with their pages, so you keep all those guys in one place with just those two sites. Just those two websites alone allows you to track anybody that's interested in knowing what's going on or possibly about doing something for each country. See, so that's why those sites exist.
A crazy magnet.
Well, you can find any fucking lunatic that isn't actually a government plant probably commenting on Alex Jones.
Yeah.
But on those guys' forums. But like if I'm reading anybody's blog and I click on something and it goes to like a Jeff Rentz blog, then I just click off that page immediately. Because I don't care what he has to say. When the guys get really into the weird racism shit.
Well, that's the thing, is that they'll find something that seems newsworthy or legitimate or like a lead that seems like something that, hey, this should catch the public attention because this is awesome.
Sometimes they're fucking completely riding onto things, but I just don't want to even be associated with. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's just really on the hardcore fringe of just like some weird fucking shit. Because like, if you follow the progression, the logical progression, with the lingo and everything that they're saying, right?
Yeah.
Well, are you ready for this? If you follow,
hit me with it, man.
Well, if you follow the logical progression of those guys constantly making out like this Zionist cabal or people that actually invented Zionism, then the logical progression is like some new round of fucking Holocaust bullshit. Because what are you going to fucking do about it if you're like, these guys got control over your life and fucked everybody over to turn you working towards like some kind of slavery, right? Some modern form of slavery.
Yeah.
Which to a certain extent, corporations and all that stuff, it is leading towards some of that stuff. But the way that these guys frame it, it's like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Start killing people? Are you going to encourage other people to kill people? I mean, like, literally, what are you just going to do about it?
Yeah.
So, I have a big problem with some of those guys. Because he's, you know, like, he tends to win some of these lawsuits that are brought against him. But he's got like 6 or 7 against him in Canada. There's this guy who's like really like a JDL type guy, a Jewish defense type lawyer guy, keeps him tied up in court. So he's fucked money wise. But you know, like some of that shit, see, then he like constantly keeps twisting it even more. Because you know, what's the end game on some of the shit? I wonder. Do you know what I'm talking about a little bit?
I do. I think that's, you know, I guess it's my fault for trying to fill in the gaps. Like when you post articles that you find interesting or links to things that in regards to, you know, like world events and like the protests and stuff, like me trying to extrapolate from that your worldview or what you think is.
Yeah, it's a big problem that people always have. Like I had like military intelligence guys tell me, they're like, you're probably totally against, you know, what my job is.
Yeah.
Like, right to my face, right to my face saying that. I'm like, you don't know what I believe. Really, actually. You don't even have a fucking clue of what I believe. Cause
when I was in college, I tried to, I went through a phase.
Whoops. There we go.
Whoa.
That's okay. I'm just going to put on the kettle while you're talking.
Yeah. I was just like super paranoid and felt like I was trying to draw attention to myself. Like through like, because I started to see things that, the apparatus that's there, and I get much more diabolical and sinister thing. You know, it's like if they want to find you, get all your information, they can do that.
No, when I was young, it's even more than that. It's even more than that. Like we've got blogs and we got this communications, and I know how to do all this kind of stuff. And they do have paid trolls, and there's provocateurs and all this kind of stuff. That's a fact. But the weirdest thing about psychological operations is, you know what? Just putting the idea out in some of these fucking articles that they put out in AP Wire and everything, that some of these things that I post about them, like monitoring Twitter or what have you, or just even the bots. I posted one on Facebook today about their bots.
Yeah.
You know? Guess
what?
Do
you feel that part wants them to come at you?
They're already doing it.
I know, but
I've been politically active a long fucking time, buddy. A long time. See what I'm saying?
Not doubting that, but I don't know. I went through a phase where I for sure.
You can ask anybody. You can ask anybody. I haven't changed one bit since I've been like 6 years old. You believe what you want to believe, you know.
Has the tone stayed the same, or have you?
Absolutely the same. I'm exactly the same as I've ever been. But you get older, you know. You get wiser if you're fortunate. But see, my whole beef is like a lot of this shit is just absolutely awkward to watch. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Having some guy like, how can you say that? You know, like, do you honestly believe that George Bush graduated from Yale and Harvard and he can't even speak in a sentence with 5 words that make sense?
Yeah.
It's absolutely, you know, and do you know what I'm talking about? There's like a lot of this stuff that's just like so awkward to watch. For what reason? Because anybody's going to swear that he's actually intelligent, that knows him or whatever. See what I'm saying? Like his people or whatever will back him up.
Yeah.
His supporters or whatever. But, you know, why?
Why?
Well, a lot of this stuff, why is it such a fucking joke? Is it like an inside joke between people in power that you got to make Americans seem so stupid and not worthy of respect or something?
Yeah.
Because to me, it just is infuriating. It's just because then people will call me an American and then they associate me with all that shit. And I just ask myself, why? Why? Because not everybody's like that. See? Like, even, remember, like, General George Schwarzkopf? That guy?
Yeah.
Remember how, like, he came across as, like, somebody that you probably have a good time sitting next to him at a picnic or something, but he had a really fucked up, awful job, but he kind of made it clear to everybody, he's like, well, check this out, I hate this shit, but we're going to go kick ass right now, and then I'm retiring. Isn't that kind of the way, like, can you respect that a little bit?
Someone being good at their job?
No, just the way he framed it.
Yeah.
He said, I don't even like this at all, but we're going to go kick some serious ass right now, and then I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I guess that's... I don't like when people can't examine themselves. When
what do you think about that? Do you remember how he came off when that whole thing went down?
I was probably too young. I just remember him being in the news. I just know he existed. I know
it's kind of like he almost took a page from MacArthur, but not as scary as MacArthur. But he, you know, like not that stoic, but he was like, they still try to make him out to be touchy-feely a little bit. Like, oh, he likes Bob Dylan. He's the thoughtful guy. You know, he's taking this seriously. This is fucked up. But, you know, like that kind of, like, see, I hated that war so much. I hate everything to do with, like, see, to me, like, as an American, see, now I don't have to really deal with it, but I kind of have to deal with it because it's global. But it's not in my face the same way because I live in Europe. But, like, check this out. See, it's completely fishy to have this guy be the head of the CIA and then become the president. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're worried about George Orwell happening before your eyes, it already happened, motherfucker, a long fucking time ago. See what I'm saying? Because that line was just blurred so much it doesn't even exist. That's the truth. Because you got a full-on fucking murderer, professional murderer as the president.
But
that isn't even in question. That isn't even in question. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. What got you passionate about that?
That's incontrovertible.
Yeah.
If you're the head of the CIA, it's like every single thing that he was involved with. What could that possibly mean? That's a heavy responsibility. So it doesn't matter what kind of a dipshit you call him because of his mannerism or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, holy mother of Jesus, check that shit out. So when somebody like that, see, and you go back before that, and this guy was like in with all these people, right? He's a fucking ambassador to China, man.
Vice president, yeah.
No, but he was the ambassador to China. He's not your ordinary goofball.
What got you worked up about the Persian Gulf War, like the first one?
Well, because it was absolute bullshit. See, because they forced those guys into a war with Iran. Because they're mad at Iran. They electrocuted a lot of people. They killed 1 million people at once. And they gave him all those chemical weapons and everything.
Yeah.
They used every single thing against Iran.
They fueled both sides for sure.
Yeah, but they killed 1 million people at once. That's a lot of fucking people, man. The Germans didn't even pull that shit off at once. In 1 second, it's like, here's 1 million people dead. Bam! Wow. A 1 million man charge they were going right towards Basra and all that shit. They killed all those guys at once. Out of control. That's not ordinary. I mean, that is a fucking lot of people. That's 1 million fucking people. So, something inside me says that, like, I don't want to deal with some crazy, all-powerful super state engulfing the resources and putting everybody in jeopardy more than anybody else. That's not what I'm saying, though, but killing 1 million people is a lot of people.
Yeah. There's a book that
so you can conveniently overlook anything you want.
Yeah.
But for me, that was like, I don't know. See, like, I'm more naturally interested in, like, Sufism, in a way. Like, the concept of being some kind of lover warrior, interested in poetry and beauty, like a samurai or something, right?
Yeah.
It's more honorable and respectful. And that's what I think they were trying to show about General Schwarzkopf. It's like, oh yeah, he's listening. He loves Dylan. He's like thoughtful about it. He understands the gravity of this situation. So he was trying to show off that he also understood about like the art of war. And you know what I mean? That he was a thoughtful person, that he hated it. See, that's more respectable than this other shit that they show where it's like some kind of Rambo thing. Or they just desensitize shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is exact, and I think I don't know how I phrased it before, but it is what I guess intrigues me about your output and like your work. It's just that, not to make it about you, but it's that same core thing where it's like you're very passionate, you're very strong, you're very fearless, but then also that your music that you treat, and I believe every word that you say, it is like a gift. That like it is like it's like a loving thing. It's weird how it's both. Like it's both.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just making a cup of tea.
Sounds good.
Well, we just live in a strange world, you know, that it's just kind of strange, you know. There's a lot of really strange things about it, and we live in a strange time where people just would prefer to, like, make everything some crazy illusion that they don't have to really think about. Whether it is their job is to, like, take over companies, raid the pensions, and fire everybody and call it a day.
I kind of envy people who grew up in a time where they like worked on a farm and they didn't know the outside world, and they, you know, a book was a cherished thing or something like that, and they made the food
move to fucking China. The majority of the population lives out in the fucking sticks, and they don't even fucking know what a book is. Yeah. So I mean, whatever. I mean, a lot of the world's like that.
Yeah, but you can't undo like what I know now. But I just like the idea of like, I don't know, it is kind of surreal that we're all on top of each other and we're able to, you know, you're in Germany right now, we're talking right now. It's just kind of nuts that there's instant awareness. But there's a book I was flipping through. Have you ever heard of Stephen King?
I thought more people would be doing this. I know that, you know, Ustream's cleaning up with the whole protest thing. More and more people are figuring out that they could be the media on Ustream. We'll see how long that lasts. Basically, I mean, see, I could be doing that shit at protests and stuff, but you don't see me doing that. I could actually run TV. I could do anything that they do on Global Revolution better. I wouldn't even fuck up. Those guys are all PC monkeys. A lot of the programs they're using are kind of wacky. I know they got Macintoshes and shit, but the way they kind of set it up. I mean, I could do all that shit, basically. Really a lot better in a weird way, and I'm not even interested in it. It's fine to cut to that stuff that's going on in Greece and whatever happens in America, too, because we're just being informed. But I've just laughed because that stuff isn't even that great, done all the time. But it's interesting to see the problems that it presents. Like, you can... This is how awful the chat room, just by opening up the chat room and letting these people be dickheads. It's amazing how bad all that stuff gets really quick.
Yeah.
I just see those people have a lot of problems coming down the pipe. In the wintertime is the least of their problems. The mayor's going to act pretty soon in New York.
Well, so is Mother Nature, too.
See, that's the least of their problems, because guess what? Homeless people live all year round in New York.
Yeah.
You can do it.
People
People fucking climb Mount Everest all the time, and it's snowing up at the base camp.
Well, people adapt, for sure.
Well, I mean, you could do it. What do they do in fucking Tibet every single fucking year? I mean, you could do it, but it's hard work.
We're going to do it.
Right? But, you know what? Basically, what the mayor can say is he can say, look, you've had this thing going since whatever, 2 months. We've been more than tolerant, but you got to move along. And then he could say, well, we let you guys do that for a couple months. You know, you're welcome to come back every day and protest and see how that works. But you can't sleep here anymore. I mean, and then nobody's going to, what are they really going to say? You know, like, oh, he didn't let us protest. Well, they let him be there for 2 months. They're not letting him anywhere near Wall Street. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I wrong?
You're right. I don't know about that detail, though.
Well, you can't walk down Wall Street unless you have an ID that says you work at one of those firms. You can't even walk down that street. You can't go down Wall Street. But whatever.
Yeah.
But all those idiots, you know, they think, the weird thing is the media are, you know, a lot of the detractors, people, the Alex Jones crowd are like, no, it's in the Fed movement. We got to do it in the Fed. Fed doesn't mean jack shit to a worldwide movement of people pissed off about the way things have been going that way. Where somebody can sit in New York and just destroy your country in 1 second. And you're not even in those fucking stocks or whatever.
Yeah.
So, they can make you starve, you know, in Chicago. Just playing the futures on fucking grain or whatever. Make 1 million people die in 1 second and not give a shit. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people all over that are pissed off about that kind of abuse of power and the way it corrupts, absolutely.
Is it one of those things
where
people
forget about that when they're talking about like, oh, well, you need to elect Ron Paul. It's not going to change that.
Yeah. But I mean, things like police brutality, they've always existed. And then, but just now because people have cell phones on the train, they can tape it and it's on YouTube in 5 seconds and everyone can see it. Because it's so prevalent, it's always on the news and it's coming through their feed. I think people have this concept that the sky is falling like super crazy, like more than it ever has before. But things I've read show that it hasn't. Things have gotten. I mean, granted, it's tough to say because we're in this little pocket of time, seeing just this little.
Check it out. Police brutality is police brutality. There's loads of it, right? Trust me on that one. Okay, anybody will tell you that. Crime supposedly is down a lot of way, but you can't expect that to happen. There's going to be an actual curve. Because what the fuck are people going to do? There's a lot of people that just... See, I thought even before I thought around 2007, 2008, right as that crash was happening, I was like telling people, man, dude, Christmas is coming, man. You're in New York, you better fucking chill because you're going to get jacked for sure. But I'm surprised that more people don't get robbed as it is. I'm absolutely surprised.
Like Mad Max type stuff. Yeah, I bought one of those Israeli gas tank things that you have a lock. Mm-hmm. Right when 2008 happened, I bought one of those things so no one would siphon gas out of my car if I had to like drive a Flagstaff or something like that. Yeah, sky is falling type stuff. Yeah.
No, but I'm just surprised because there's a lot of people that don't have any money. They don't have any options. Then there's the idiot factor too.
Yeah. That's me in a nutshell.
But the weird thing, is I when you think about like poverty driving. You're going to get ripped off from the poor people and the rich people.
It's Bertucci's 30th birthday. You can't blow out the fire, but you can make a wish. Wish granted. Brick Oven Cannelloni Bolognese is back, just $9.81. Try all our birthday classics under $10.
And it made me want to be better at listening, because that's one of my. I'm amazed you have as much patience with me when we talk as you do, because I am a really bad listener, and it's kind of, I don't know. And you've got a very unique conversational style too, so it's like this is a good exercise in that for something positive. It's not just tied to you or me or Dead TV or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like I appreciate that.
It's so weird because a lot of people in my life have felt that because I have so much to say that I'm a bad listener. It's exactly the opposite. But they can't get it. They can't get that. They figure that if you're talking, that it must be that you're not listening.
Yeah.
Which is absolute bullshit. Just depends on who you are.
Yeah. Well, you're very good at guiding conversation too, so it's tough.
Well, you have to do that. But I'm not going to hurt you, so.
That's good. I mean, anytime I've ever had anything to say, you've let me say it, so that's good. And then,
well, I'm not worried about what people say specifically. Sometimes I am. Because sometimes things are like shouting fire in a theater. Sometimes I feel that. And I already skate that line because I think it's easy to misunderstand. And the old man always has one question. The old man wants to know where this is headed. It could be this TV show. It could be a protest. It could be anything, right? It's like, where the fuck is this going?
Yeah.
See, that's the only question there ever is like, where is this headed? So I can always just see what's going on, I think. I'm like, this looks fishy.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thanks for taking the call.
No problem.
Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Hey. All right. You too, man. Woo. Jesus. Can you believe I talked for an hour and 18 minutes or something to that guy? Unbelievable.